Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on this dark, kind of gloomy day. I'm, of course, Better Guy, joined here by Mr. Coz and Mr. Casey. I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction right now that at some point in time in the future, this will be the most viewed Thanksgiving special ever.
I don't think so.
It's a bold statement, but I stand by it. So, we will present a Banghead History Thanksgiving special. And you without your fucking face paint on. So I'm going to toss it over to you, Mr. Casey. Let us know what you got.
So today we're going to talk about the things that kind of really happen at Thanksgiving. Once again, this is...
Let me clarify real quick. More viewed than Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
See, I'm not going to be... I'm not going to be super negative. And let's be honest, the internet is a negative place.
I don't give a fuck.
Well, I know. But the internet is a negative place. So if this gets over the amount of likes that all the other Thanksgiving ones get, I feel like I would have to go super negative and super dark for this to overpass all of those.
Here on Banghead History, we try and give you the truth.
So, I just want to go over where I got some of my information. Time.com. Cody Bonds at YouTube has a YouTube channel. I watched his video to get some information. And Kathleen Wall, who wrote a book on Thanksgiving. Now, first I'd like to talk about the participants of the first Thanksgiving. You would call them the Pilgrims, but they were actually the Brownists. The Brownists were a group of dissenters from the Standard English Church. They thought that the word of the Holy Bible was infallible and that congregations should have local autonomy instead of being centralized. Now, I do have a question right here, like right off the bat.
I got a question too already.
Okay.
Why the fuck are they called the Brownists?
The Brownists is, I can't remember the name of the guy, but his last name was Brown, so they became the Brownists.
Oh, so they were just following one guy.
Right.
Sounds like a cult.
I was going to say...
Well, it's kind of like an ideal. Like, so this is the question that I had is like, can you see any relevance to the present, to now, to see a group? Okay, so let's say the Constitution equals the Bible. So you're believing in the written word of the for an American, we're believing in the written word of the Constitution, which and their terms could be the Bible, and then they believe that so they want their congregation to have more power than the centralized church, and we want more power for the states than the federal government. Do you see?
Okay, I vaguely understand what you're saying, but I'm going to say this. Okay, the Constitution is a law-binding document. The Bible is just a bunch of made-up stories.
One is law, one is belief.
Well, you could believe the Constitution is a bunch of made-up laws. The Bible was made up by men. The Constitution was made up by men.
But well, I mean, at the same point in time, there is record of them enacting and creating the Constitution, Bill of Rights, all these documents. The Bible, which was supposedly written, who the fuck even knows when,
Multiple people,
by who?
Okay. And what do you think about the part where they want their congregations to have more power than the centralized church?
I know what you want me to say here,
right. So
I'll just go ahead and say it. I mean, you're more or less talking about political parties.
I don't. I mean,
yes, you
political
are.
parties have something to do with it.
Kind of, but
Okay, so you have. So you don't think there's any relevance to like the
Well, I mean,
history repeating itself?
I don't think there's any relevance because
Okay.
I don't believe that a work of basically fiction has any correlation to a set of laws that was written when this country was founded.
Okay. Okay. You have anything to
That's
say?
my opinion.
Are you trying
That's my
to?
opinion.
Are you trying to say that it's similar to today's world because people are trying to push their agendas?
I mean, there is that the centralized church obviously saying that if you don't praise God the same way I praise God, then you're out. You know what I mean?
Is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay.
The similarities.
So you were talking more or less about media.
That too, yeah.
All right.
So basically, I'm just saying I feel like that this shows the relevance of history repeating itself.
Okay.
Anyways, then the other group was the Wampanoag, the natives of the Massachusetts area. Those are the two groups.
The Wampano?
Wampanoag.
Are you familiar with the Wampano? Okay.
All right, so next we got so the Pilgrims landed. You can call them Pilgrims or you can call them Brownists, whatever. I'm just going to call them Brownists or Pilgrims from now on. And
Let's keep it simple
Right.
for.
and they are named Pilgrims after the word pilgrimage, which is a journey or search for a sacred or exalted place. So they landed. They built their. First of all, there was 102 of them on the ship. By the time it's all said and done, between starving and coming across the ocean, which took 2 months, there was only 47 left.
High attrition rate.
Right. They're desperate. These people are desperate when they landed. They're starving. Bad stuff's happening. They're very defensive. Apparently they had been attacked by the natives of the area, which you can't fault the natives on that because this is their land to start with, and they're only defending their land. They were met by a man named Samoset, chieftain of the Eastern Abenaki tribe. They were the next day. They were who spoke somewhat broken English. Couldn't really understand him, but he came and tried to speak with the Pilgrims. The next day, he brought a man named Squanto. Now, Squanto was a captive of that tribe, but he spoke fluent English, being that he was enslaved and brought to Spain for multiple years, and then returned home. Now, there was a deal made between the Pilgrims and the natives of the area. The natives had a lot of enemies around them, and the Pilgrims were going to basically defend, protect, and assault the other natives in exchange for learning how to farm and cultivate the area, and to be able to feed and survive. Any questions?
Now, when you say farm, I assume basically growing corn and tobacco, correct?
Tobacco was not said within what I read. Maize, beans, squash.
Well, maize is corn.
Right. But I'm talking about specifically tobacco. Tobacco was
tobacco also, makes corn grow like a lot faster.
okay. So it's possible that was part of the process to cultivating the land.
Okay.
But tobacco was not.
Okay,
talked about
so
specifically.
corn, squash. What else?
They had there was maize, beans, and squash.
Beans.
Right.
That's the one I forgot.
Yeah, beans.
Everyone needs beans.
So basically, it was a mutually beneficial relationship. Does it? I got a question for you guys. Does this information change the way you think of the Pilgrims or the natives in the area?
As far as what that they landed and they were trying to grow crops.
No, that it actually became like a symbiotic relationship between the natives and the Pilgrims.
Well, I mean, realistically, that's how it should be.
It wasn't 100% violent.
I think them miscalculating their travel benefited them by being more open with the natives.
Right.
Because they were kind of
Out
like...
of necessity.
Yeah, out of necessity.
Okay. So do you think it was a necessity for both because the natives were possibly at war with other tribes in the area too?
Right.
Well, at the same point in time, I don't really think the natives at that point in time really needed these 47 individuals who just got off a boat.
Well, let's be honest. There's a big difference between spears and guns.
I mean, yeah, that is true too, but at the same point in time, even if they had 47 guns, do the math.
And armor.
Did they have armor?
Yes. Now these buckle hats that you see in historical drawings and paintings, these things they never wore these buckle hats. They did have soldiers. They were armored and they did have guns.
So you're basically saying that like an English version of a Spanish conquistador
Something like that.
showed up on the coast of the United States of America.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like they were the first
I
ones
did not
there.
know that.
They were not the first ones there. They knew that there was pushback, or there was they definitely knew that the natives of the area might fight back for their area, and they came ready to fight them off.
Okay. Well, I mean, realistically, as would be the right.
Right.
So, anyway, I'm good.
I'm good.
You good? All right. Let's go back here. So, let's talk about Thanksgiving Day. So, Thanksgiving Day, there was more than 100 people in attendance. We're going to say there was around 90 natives and all of the pilgrims. Festivities lasted for 3 days. And you want to talk about
Get fucked Black Friday.
why did it last for 3 days? So it last.
That's a different topic.
Yeah, that's it. But so when you're living back in those days, it's possible that the natives in the area, their friendly natives, had to travel at least 2 days to get there. So you're not going to travel 2 days, eat dinner, and then walk 2 days back to where you came from. You're definitely going to stay there for a little while. And then they did have the festivities. They had games. They obviously had ate. It was more than just a dinner.
They invented cornhole.
Did they invent cornhole?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
don't
a
know. I'm just
thing?
making that.
So what was the meals at this dinner?
So, contrary to regular belief, turkey, although it may have been played a part in the dinner, as well as other.
But I don't believe it's common in that area.
So yeah, turkeys were
Turkeys?
yeah, turkeys.
Wild
Turkey.
turkeys.
So we were going to say they had probably turkeys, ducks, geese. Basically, we're just going to talk about the common things that were around there. There was fish.
Pheasants.
Fish was probably a part of it because obviously they're on the coast. It's said that the natives brought 5 deer with them. So there was deer, which would be the number one main course meal at Thanksgiving dinner. So they had venison. And then basically, of course, the maize, beans, and squash that the pilgrims were taught to create for themselves. Is that anything surprising to you?
Other than the fact that venison was, supposedly, based on the information you presented there, the main course, why are we not eating
I knew
venison
this is where it was going.
for Thanksgiving to this day instead of turkey.
That sounds like some research that I would have to do on why. But it was many years. So 1621 is when this happened. And it wasn't even until, I can't remember what the date was, but Abraham Lincoln was president before it became a national holiday, and Thanksgiving became a common household thing throughout the United States. So a lot of things may have changed from there, but I don't know why specifically turkey over venison or any other kind of fowl.
230 years?
I mean, if that's how long it was.
240 years?
240 years then. But Thanksgiving is, it was kind of a common thing in a way for, like, back in those days to be thankful for things. It was more of like a religious thing where maybe it wasn't on Thanksgiving Day and Thanksgiving dinner as we would see it, but people would be thankful for the things that they had any part of the year, and that they had a bountiful.
So it just happened to fall.
Right. So it just happened to fall in that time. They're thankful for the things that they have. They have bountiful amount of foods, and they throw themselves a party, basically,
A friendship
or a
too,
feast.
with
Right.
each other.
Right. So it didn't have to be exactly on that date or in the fall or whenever. Just
Or the last Thursday of November.
right. Well, that's just how it is now. Because let's be honest with you, we could have most people in this country could have a bountiful feast and be thankful every day of the year, because you can just go to the grocery store tomorrow, buy a whole bunch of stuff, be thankful for it.
To an extent.
To an extent, of course.
I mean, nowadays it's a little sketchy.
Right.
What you find in the grocery store. But anyway.
You want to add it? Anybody want to add anything to it?
I want to know what your opinion is there, Chief. I mean, granted, the whole thing, and also I wanted to add, just to clarify, this was the first year this feast happened. That, the Pilgrims.
Between that specific set of Pilgrims and that specific set, the Brownist and the
So it's the most
Wampanoag.
famous.
Right.
Okay, so that was the first time, people of different cultures and everything actually came together, basically on North America.
I wouldn't go that.
Yeah,
far.
I wouldn't say
Yeah,
that.
I wouldn't go that far. There's other historical claims to want to be the first Thanksgiving.
Okay, fair enough. At some point in time, I would like to hear about them. But
What do you want me to say?
I want to get your opinion as our resident Native American.
Shoot, for what?
Yeah, just
on
your opinions on the first Thanksgiving. Do you believe that the Pilgrims, as we'll call them, would have survived the winter if it wasn't for that, coming together moment?
I think there's historical writings and stuff about them eating bark and stuff when they first arrived here. They were
A starving
basically-
person will be pretty
Yeah,
much
they were
survive.
just basically at the end of they were gonna die, so they made friendship with the locals. I mean, that shows you that there wasn't all violent Native Americans. There was people. Everybody wants to help somebody to some extent, but there's evil people and evil groups out there, no matter where you go.
Right.
Luckily, they ran into a good group of Native Americans. History was made. Now we eat turkey on Thanksgiving.
Now, I would like to point out that had the natives not come to them and offered to help them, there's always the possibility that a starving man, like I said, will do anything to survive. So there's a possibility that the Pilgrims may have taken what they wanted, regardless.
It could have been a dark moment in history.
And at the same point in time, we would not be celebrating this holiday that is now known as Thanksgiving.
Right. I think it's a good
So-
holiday. Everybody coming together.
That's it. Everyone's coming together. We come together like pretty much every week. You know, it's
And we eat chicken, not turkey.
hey, every week is my Thanksgiving.
I'm thankful to be here with you guys.
There you go. Yep, that's basically what Thanksgiving's for.
I'm thankful to be alive for another 5 years.
Well, 4 1/4 now.
4.5. Let's be generous.
He's gonna keep saying 5 years for like the next 20. I feel it. 5 more years.
Either way, thank you for putting that together, Mr. Casey. I am, of course, Gregor Guy, also joined here by Mr. Cuz, and I will reiterate what I said at the beginning of this shit. This will be the most viewed Thanksgiving special of all time. At least on YouTube.
I think you've lost your mind.
I lost it a long time ago.